didn't care.
Right.
They didn't care about me. They thought I was nothing. I was less than human, and that hurt, I think, really as much as the pain. And went through those kind of things like many children over the years have gone through. But I tell people it's kind of why I think God sent me my best friend Leon Gibson. And Leon Gibson, he was really my very first true friend. Leon, accepted me as I was. We ended up being like brothers. But unfortunately, back then, much worse so than it is now, and there's still a lot of this today that we have to grow through in humanity. But unfortunately, back then, it really wasn't good to have a black friend, and Leon was black, and obviously I'm white, but
I was going to ask which one was which, but now I get it. Thanks for.
now you get it. It's yeah. I thought you might be confused, but the thing is, we didn't care. I mean, we're just a couple kids trying to pick. Yeah, so honestly, I firmly believe God puts things in your path that lead you to where you need to go, or He wants you to go, right? And so I had built this company out in Tyler, Texas. It was an auto repair company. All my friends were naming their auto repair companies Joe's Garage or Bob's Garage or whatever. I didn't want to be a mechanic the rest of my life. I'd already made up my mind. I just didn't know anything else to do. So I named mine Auto Doctors. And over time, I built it to 3 locations out in Tyler. Toll-free number came in, so we're paying for the toll call. The PIFM picked up that call, converted it into a internet call. This is when internet telephony was just really barely working. But it took that caller ID stream, it looked into the CRM to see if that person.
Welcome to the Dr. Smiley Show. I am so excited to have James Moneypenny. I mean, anybody that has a James Bond name you want on your show, but this gentleman earns the name Moneypenny because his heart is huge and he helps people make money, not a penny, but a lot of them. So, James, welcome to the Dr. Smiley Show.
Thanks, Ken. I'm excited about being here. Always love your show.
Well, I wanted to say it's interesting how someone can be connected and then reconnected, and that reconnection is the one that takes off. So we both love Dr. Stan Breakthrough Harris, and
Yes.
he has changed my life. I know he's changed your life, and so here we are today again because of him. And it's interesting. He will not stop until connection turns into a volcano of abundance.
That's true. That's Dr. Breakthrough. He doesn't let anything stop him.
And I asked him, not in the curiosity of I can't believe it, but in the curiosity of you are so unconditional. He always helps. He just helps and helps and helps. And I realize the more I talk about him, the more I'm actually saying that is the way a leader and a human and a Christian could and should be. And I don't say should from a standpoint of shoulding, but when you are that way, you actually get rewarded in all the ways you're supposed to.
Yeah, and he's been like that the whole 2 decades I've known him. I mean, he's just all about helping people break through whatever is getting in their way of where they want to be in life. I absolutely love the way he approaches it too.
Well, you have a big gift, and I'm excited to get to that gift in the show, in that you have a way for people to really be competitive, be efficient, be abundant, because you've worked on some technologies that really give you an edge. And so we're going to get to that. But first, we want to have the audience learn who James Moneypenny is. So, James, first of all, if you'd share where you were born and what your childhood was like.
Yeah, so I'm originally from a little town called Carthage, Texas, which today has about 6,700 people in it. It's deep East Texas. So I'm an old East Texas boy. As far as my childhood, I grew up in a extremely poor family. I mean, we were so poor we couldn't pay attention. We were we were wearing blue jeans with holes and patches in them back when they weren't cool. They're pretty cool now. I should have saved them. I could have sold them for a lot of money. But we had a lot of love in our family. We did a lot of work, and I just made up my mind as a young kid, I wasn't going to be poor the rest of my life. I didn't like it a lot. I don't think anybody really likes that. And through the grace of God and just being able to identify the right opportunities, God lifted me up out of that, and He gave me the mission. The only thing He asked me to do in return was to help other people who grew up like me get there easier and faster than what I did. So that's a little bit about my childhood.
Well, I watched your video and it was such a beautiful and brilliant video. So we're going to dig in a little more than just that little glaze over there. But
Okay, all
I
right.
do want to say the poor part. No one
Mm-hmm.
wants to be poor. I don't think anyone likes being poor, but I think poor adds a dimension to humility, to humanity. And
Yes,
you, I think typically when you come from poor, you're not only more empathetic, but you have more of a how can I help when I make it kind of mentality.
yes, yeah, exactly. It does help really cement that mission in your life as what you can do to help the next person that grew up in that way.
Yeah, there's a big distinction between struggle and laziness and struggle and working, and you just can't get out.
Yeah,
You just sometimes someone just needs a break, and sometimes that break is just someone believing in them. So,
yeah, that's
uh,
true.
so you had a family of 10, if I recall from the video.
Yes, there's 10 of us kids. Mom was a full-time uh, a mom. I mean, she really did the best to wrangle us kids and show us God's love. And Dad worked 80 hours a week. I worked with him in the mechanic shop. Anytime I was, well, they call it I don't think they call it mechanic shops anymore. They're auto repair and technicians, not mechanics anymore.
That way you can
But
charge more.
you charge more than yes, absolutely. And growing up, I always thought, man, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up, but I'm not going to be a mechanic. But of course, I was a mechanic, so the only thing I knew how to do early on. So
I
yeah,
guess all
there
10 of
there were
you
10
couldn't.
of us.
Yeah, I guess all 10 of you just waited by the door for your dad to get home so you could hug him and smell him, right?
Yep. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, that's a hardworking man there.
Well, it's interesting though. Now today, when I go back into auto repair shop or a tire shop and I get that smell, it brings back so many great memories of a kid because there was a lot of memories made in that shop. I remember when I was 5 years old, sitting on the workbench sorting nuts and bolts and cleaning wrenches and just really you know uh, kind of helping out the way I could. And wasn't too long after that, Dad had me up in the middle of the hood changing thermostats and fan belts and alternators and all kinds of things, and eventually rebuilding carburetors. Back then we had carburetors, not fuel injection. We had the variable Venturi carburetors, the Holly double pumpers, and the Quadrajets and the Rochesters and all that kind of stuff. Now it's all fuel injection these days.
Yes, indeed. I mean, Fletch would be proud right now.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
You know, uh, I feel like doing an ad right now. I don't do them very often, but you touch my heart with auto mechanic. So we have an auto mechanic here in Elkridge, Maryland, and
Okay.
he is so honest. They are so honest. They're a partnership. They left the dealership and they started their own company called Foreign Auto Experts. And you've inspired me to share this because it sounds like that's the way your dad was. That he was an honest mechanic, and
Hmm.
he could never not be busy because everyone wanted him to they trust him.
Yes. Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
so the short story I'll give you is I remember one time my car just broke down and it was in front of another auto dealer. I mean, not dealer, but auto repair shop. And they came out and they said, yeah, we can tow it into the repair shop. It'll be 150 for the tow. And you're probably looking about $850. And I said, wow, that is going to kill me. And this was when I was in college. And I called Foreign Auto and I said, can I just tow it to you guys? And I towed it for about the same price, but it was $150 for them to fix the problem. I
Wow.
said, you have all my dad had already told them they have all our money. Whenever we have a repair, they get it all. And so, and they've earned it, but they grew and they grew. They must have about 20 people working for them right now.
Yeah, it's interesting how if you do the right thing right, even when nobody's looking, you do the
Right.
right thing right, it comes back tenfold. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, 850 versus 150, that's a pretty big gap in.
That's a Yeah, and that's the thing you see with so many of the auto repair shops, and sometimes it's just lack of knowledge, and sometimes it's intentional, unfortunately. So yeah, he would have my trust as well.
All right. So continuing on, what was there a defining moment? I know with your dad having a work ethic like he did, and you
Mhm.
having 9 brothers and sisters. How many brothers and sisters?
There's three sisters. The rest of us were boys.
And
So
what were you
seven
in the
boys.
pecking order?
I was net number nine.
Number 9.
Number nine.
So what was that like? Being was that great to be at number 9, or was it harder?
It was a lot of work. You had to learn how to fight a little bit because the big brothers they want to pick on you, but they teach you to take care of yourself as well. But yeah, it was the hand me downs were pretty hand me downish at number nine, so that was probably one of the toughest
I
parts.
imagine you didn't have any bully issues though, did you? Only at the house. Only at
Oh
home?
Lord, so you want me to share
I
a
would.
little bit more? Okay, so yeah, so growing up, one of the things that I did learn early on was really how cruel people could be. And you learn that in school, because we were so poor and we wore tattered clothes, holy clothes. And I worked in the shop with my dad, and I don't, any of those of you out there who've ever worked in the shop, your hands, you kind of get that grease embedded into your pores, and even with lava soap or the strongest soap, you can't get it all out. So sometimes your hands look a little dirty, and your clothes, even after they're washed, sometimes they have that little oil smell. And so I had all of the things that most people bullies would look for, and really having a reason to not like someone. And I just remember back when I first went to this particular school. I was the outsider, and there's about half a dozen boys who like to pick on people, and man, they used to kick us, trip us, not just me, some of my brothers as well, spit on us, call us names that you couldn't even imagine. And, they're just really very cruel. In fact, I remember one time I was standing in a bathroom washing my hands. And back then, these old schools had these windows that swung out. They were hinged at the top and they swung out like this. We didn't have much air conditioning back then. And I'm standing there washing my hands. And before I realized it, somebody reached through the window, grabbed me by the hair of the head, and several other people joined in, and they lifted me up. I mean, literally lifted me up off of my feet. They were shaking me, viciously, and of course, I started crying, screaming for help, and no matter how much I screamed, nobody came. None of the teachers, I guess, could hear me. No other students really intervened. And then when somebody did finally walk in, they dropped me on the floor, and I mean, I hit hard. I hurt. I was crying, and not just because of the pain, but if you think about that, the feeling I had at that moment was that they just didn't care.
Right.
They didn't care about me. They thought I was nothing. I was less than human, and that hurt, I think, really as much as the pain. And went through those kind of things like many children over the years have gone through. But I tell people it's it's kind of why I think God sent me my best friend Leon Gibson. And Leon Gibson, he was really my very first true friend. Leon, accepted me as I was. We ended up being like brothers. But unfortunately, back then, much worse so than it is now, and there's still a lot of this today that we have to grow through in humanity. But unfortunately, back then, it was really wasn't good to have a black friend, and Leon was black, and obviously I'm white, but
I was going to ask which one was which, but now I get it. Thanks for.
now you get it. It's yeah. I thought you might be confused, but yeah. The thing is, we didn't care. I mean, we're just a couple kids trying to figure out how to make it through life. But because of that, those bullies came at us even more aggressively than they did before. I mean, they would spit horrible names at us. They would call him, of course, the N word, and they would call me the N word lover. And I tell people that in a way they were right on part of that. I was a lover. I was a lover of human beings, of God's creation, and but I tell them they were wrong about Leon. He wasn't an N word. Leon was a C word. He was a child of God, and I was as well. But I didn't back then. I didn't feel it. I didn't realize it because of all the cruelty that was going on. But I realize it now because God told me that I'm His child. But one of the things that living through that did was it created a mission in my life to truly fight for real people, really the people who have been kicked down, pushed out, excluded, been treated like they were, less than human. And that, that, and then really living through the life of fighting my way out of poverty to the point to where I could finally first start my first business. And then, that business turned into a franchise. I became exceedingly successful and built franchises over a period of 30 years. And there's a reason why I loved franchising, but um, being able to fight through that, that's when God really gave me the mission to provide hope, opportunity, and tools for success for real people, people who grew up like me that didn't have two nickels to rub together. And that's one of the things I loved about franchising was that I could help my people and I could create jobs in areas, and I created franchises globally. I create jobs in areas where people needed jobs, they needed support. But the one thing about franchising that always kind of left a little bit of a dark pit in my stomach was that it was hard to do what I really felt God tasked me to do, which was to lift people up to my level, have them own their own franchise. Because when you grow up, you haven't got two nickels to rub together. Well, it's kind of hard to really get to that level to be able to buy a franchise. Because even a cheap franchise is $250,000. But over time, God gave me a path that I call the great equalizer because it did, and it has empowered me to help regular people that don't have two nickels rubbed together even today. So, kind of in brief, that's some of the things that really I think shaped my life and helped God form my mission.
Yeah, that's certainly. I would normally ask what is a defining moment, but you just shared it at length. I do want to share an epiphany I'm getting. I mean, I've had different versions of this epiphany, but the blessings of bullying. Like that's a weird thing to say, but if you weren't bullied, you wouldn't be this empathetic and person that wants to lift people up as much as you do. And
That's true.
I was bullied ferociously as well. I moved 14 times. You got to imagine new kid in the block, and I was the oldest kid. There was no older brother to protect me. So,
Yes.
yeah, I won't stand for anyone being bullied. And when I was a teacher in this classroom, no one could ever mess with the kid that was weak. Never, not on my
Yeah.
watch.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, so we have the same feeling, but the second blessing of bullying is that they get theirs later. They're not rewarded for it,
They do.
and the third is that it is actually more painful for them than it'll ever be for you. They're in so much pain. They feel hurting you is going to help them not hurt as much. But that's the irony of it is they're in more pain than you are. No matter what they do to you, they're hurting so bad.
Yeah, I believe that as well. I do.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. I do want to talk more about the franchising, but moving from the bullying and you growing up, I do have a question. Did your dad know you were bullied? Did was there a rally at the table like, hey, don't no one touches a penny? I mean, kind of thing.
Nobody knew. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my brothers. Um, I just didn't tell anyone. I think it was shame. Now, my friend knew, of course, Leon Gibson knew.
Now you and
So,
Leon
but
grew up to be friends for a long time, right?
lifetime, yeah, lifetime friends. He passed away about 3 years ago.
I imagine that was really hard for you.
Yeah,
I can relate not to the passing, but I have a friend that's in. He's getting old. We've been friends for 45 years, and
Yeah.
I never had the issue of him being me being discriminated because he was black. I didn't have that issue, but
Right.
he's been my brother. I mean, I've been invited to all their family functions, being the only white person there. I was invited to the funerals of his family, the only white person there, kind of thing. So, um,
Yeah. Same here.
yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and here we are doing Black History Month, and the thing about Black History Month is it's a humanity event. It's if you look at it as a black event, then you're missing the point. It's just celebrating leaders that happen to be black, but you should be celebrating
Mhm.
leaders everywhere, every time, every day, every month.
Right. Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of times the black leaders are forgotten. They're not celebrated as much. So I appreciate you doing that event as well.
Well, the interesting part of this is only about 2 years ago, I made a book called Black History Year, and I said
Hmm.
a month's not enough, and so I actually edified one black leader a day for a year in a book, not as a
Oh,
show.
nice,
And
nice.
yeah, I mean, if I have that book handy, I might just do a little show and tell very quickly if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see it, and I'll
All right.
order it actually.
Well, that is very kind, but we're gonna put you in as a sponsor. How about that?
All right.
I like that idea. All right. So here is the Black History year, and coming to it right now. All right, there it is. So it says Black History Year, and these are
Nice.
this is the first woman who believed in me with a camera and brought me to the fashion world. I mean, if I told you every single this person here paid me in full $2,500 during the pandemic when 2,500 was like 25,000.
Wow.
This gentleman here, just a brilliant speaker, but also he changed the face of nursing with doctors. He came up with his own IP. So I could go through each person. That's how close I am to these people. He bought the very first Key Smiling book. He's from Cameroon, blah, blah, blah. So
Love it.
that's 365 pages, of which 360 of them are filled with someone I personally know. And I'm edifying and honoring them. So,
I love that. I love that. I love it. That's
so
great.
I have yet to meet you, James. I got to come down and give you a big hug.
Yeah, me too. That let's do it.
All right. So moving from, I know that we skipped all the way ahead in your friendship. I do want to kind of, when did you find out for yourself that you needed to work on yourself, or you wanted to do X, Y, and Z to find out your purpose of why you were living? Can you tell that part of the
Mhm.
story?
Well, I think my first realization of that is probably when I was about 12, 13 years old. In church, I really felt a calling from God. I actually even did a little preaching and stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, and began working on myself. But it's really, at about 8 years old, from a business standpoint, is when I really, had this epiphany that, man, I'm not going to be poor the rest of my life. And so what I started doing at that time is anytime I was not in school, I was working. I either was working at the shop with my dad, or I was helping my uncle with some of his projects, or I heard this radio commercial about this paper that was called True Grit. I don't know if you remember True
I
Grit, but it
do.
was
I
like
do.
the rags on the end caps that you could buy. And I ordered a stack of True Grit, and I started selling those. I'd ride to work with my dad on days that he didn't really need much help in the shop, and I would go door to door selling True Grit. And I think we sold them for a quarter a piece, and we sent back a nickel and a dime
Right.
to them, something like that. And then I saved up enough money from selling True Grit to buy me a lawnmower. I had to stand up on the lawnmower, get a hold of it by the handle, and pull it like this to try to start it because I was so small at the time. And all my True Grit customers, I offered to mow their lawn for something like $3 or $4. Something, back then, seemed like a lot of money. And then I got this idea that it usually would take a couple weeks from the time you would send the money back to True Grit before they would send you another block of papers. So I got this idea. I started walking back to the places I'd sold True Grit, and I said, "Hey, I'll buy that paper back from you for 15 cents if it's not all torn up." And 100% of them said, "Oh, no, I'm not going to charge you. I've already read it here. I'll let you have it." And they would just give it to me. So then I would go to the next neighborhood over, and I would say, "Hey, this has been read by somebody else. Normally they're a quarter. I'll let you have it for 15 cents." Almost 100% of them gave me the full quarter for them. And then I increased my number of True Grit that
Right.
I would order. They become my new True Grit customers, and I would go and then talk to them and mow their lawn. And I kept doing that until I got to the point I had more lawns than I knew how to mow. And so that was my true first
Did you franchise?
entrepreneurial
Did
adventure.
you franchise your lawn?
I should have. I should have, but no, that one I didn't. That one I didn't end up franchising. But yeah, that was my first entrepreneurial venture as a 8, 9 year old kid.
Well, we share that same entrepreneurial spirit. I was the paper out in the morning, 100 and I think it was 119 or 160 homes. We delivered at 6:30 in the morning. My brother got the junior route of 48, and I had to do the big route because he was younger than me. And
Wow.
yeah, and you wing that sucker, and you have to pick up the money every week. And if you don't get it, it's out of your pocket, not the newspaper's pocket.
Not the newspapers.
But I sold so many lawns because of how many yards there were that I
Hmm.
actually would make $5 per. Well, maybe it wasn't $5, maybe it was a couple bucks back then, or someone else mowing.
Yeah.
You can have my account in my account.
Hmm. Right.
As a 13-year-old, that's funny to say an account, but yeah, that's very entrepreneurial of you.
Yeah.
It's so cool how that is the training that you can never get in school.
Hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've learned so much more outside of school than I ever learned in school. I'll tell you about this one client, if that's okay. Is
Of course, this is your
a
show.
gentleman by the name of Cathcart, Mr. and Mrs. Cathcart. They were amazing elderly couple, and I was mowing their lawn. They were buying my True Grit papers, and then one day, Mr. Cathcart said, "Young man, you want to help me replace a line in my sewer line in my backyard?" Because he had old clay tile sewer line, and grass had grown through the joints and clogged it up. But he couldn't get equipment back there because he had in Texas, he had banana trees, he had all kinds of botanicals back there, and it was a pretty shaded backyard, so they survived. But he says, "We're gonna have to dig it up by hand." And then he goes to explain. He says, "You're gonna get probably some human waste on your hands and your feet, and your shoes and stuff like that." And he says, "But I'll pay you $100 if you will help me dig up this line." And I just looked at him straight in the eyes. I said, "Mr. Cathcart, I'll sink myself clear up to here and poo for $100." I'd never seen a $20 bill at that point. I didn't know what a
That's so
$100
cool.
bill looked like. Yeah, and so we replaced that line in his backyard, and he paid me $100. But they were some amazing people. I loved working with them.
Well, this is your show, but you're causing all these memories to surface for me too. I had my next door neighbor was very, very cheap, and he was a lawyer, an older gentleman,
Hmm.
and I had to mow his lawn. I mowed his lawn, and my mom and dad says, "I can't believe he won't tip you and stuff." Well, after doing his lawn for about 2 years, he says, "Do you like dimes?" And I go, "I guess." And he goes, "They're old." He says, "I also have some old nickels and old pennies." He gave me something like $200 or $300 of silver dimes, uh, Indian head nickels, the whole nine. And he gave it
Oh,
to me.
nice.
He gave it to me for the cash. I said, "This is worth a lot of money." He says, "You can just pay for it with what it costs." And so he gave me a two hundred
Wow.
dollar mint condition. I mean, not mint, but very good condition coin collection for the same price as the lawn mowing. Like he actually said, you can have this,
Wow.
but that's what you get when you do your job.
Exactly. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. For somebody that's that tight, he's really saying thank you.
Yes, he
That's
is.
cool.
Yeah, and it didn't
Yes.
cost me anything because he was able to give me something that he just didn't need anymore. He just didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
you found your purpose. That's very early. 12. Was there a book that you read or anything that aided you? I mean,
Well, yeah, back then it was the Bible,
yeah.
and really just the influence from the church and talking to older people, and hearing their wisdom is really, and then of course hearing from God is what really inspired me.
And you stayed in
Yes.
that town your whole 18 years?
Yeah, most of my life in that one town. We ended up moving to Longview at one point, which is not too far from there, but most of my life in there.
Did you ever run
And
into those bullies again?
you know, I never have told anybody this story, but now that you ask, I was literally about 15, maybe even 20 years ago. I was at a big business convention, and one of the, I hear this somebody in the back on break go, "Hey Gibbons," and I spun my head around because when I was little, some people gave me the nickname of Gibbons because they said I was short, but my arms were real long, and Gibbons is a type of a monkey, right?
Right.
And I hadn't heard that name in a long, long time. And it was a young lady. Now, this young lady, she was a cheerleader at that school, and she's was one of the people. She had a twin sister. If either one of them ever seen somebody picking on me or Leon, they would step in and stop them, right?
Really?
And yeah, and they would say, they would go, they'd make a fuss about it, right? And shame them. And uh, so she was there, and then she introduced me to her husband, which happened to be one of those bullies.
Oh, wow.
That guy, what he just kind of turned white when he seen me. He recognized me even all those years later, and try not to get choked up here,
By
but
all means, you're
he
a human.
he literally apologized up one side, down the other. He had um, found God in his life.
Mhm.
He had become a pastor of a church, and he said he was making amends.
Isn't that awesome?
Yep.
And that's the beauty of it is that's
Yeah.
that third blessing, isn't it?
That is. Yeah. Huge blessing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a beautiful story, James. And by the way, I warned you at the beginning of the show. I said I'm going to do unpredictable. I'm going to do zingers. But
Yeah. You did. You asked me a question nobody's ever asked before.
well,
So,
it's not only because I listen, but because I relate. And
okay.
you being human right now, I'll say is the compliment to the show. So thank you for being that.
Oh, well, thank you.
So let's talk about your purpose turning into the franchise or wherever you want to go with how you got that direction after that.
Yeah. So, honestly, I firmly believe God puts things in your path that lead you to where you need to go or he wants you to go, right? And so I had built this company out in Tyler, Texas. It was an auto repair company. All my friends were naming their auto repair companies Joe's Garage or Bob's Garage or whatever. I didn't want to be a mechanic the rest of my life. I'd already
Right.
made up my mind. I just didn't know anything else to do. So I named mine Auto Doctors. And over time, I built it to 3 locations out in Tyler, Texas. And then one one day, a family that was traveling was coming through. They spun a fan belt. They were from Arizona, coming out on vacation and driving through. They uh, got towed in. We're replacing the fan belt, and the guy told me that's a pretty cool name for your auto shop. And we got to talking, and he had his wife and kids with him, and we started having coffee, and he starts asking me all these questions about the business, and I'm answering him, and pretty soon I'm thinking it's like this guy maybe he wants to open up an auto repair shop or something because he's asking me so many questions, and um, we get the belt fixed, and he tells his wife, he says, "Hey, I don't want to go shopping. We need a few things. Why don't you take the kids go shopping? I'm going to stay here and drink coffee." And then he walks her to the door and he whispers at her ear, but loud enough I ended up hearing it. He says, "Don't come back till 6."
Yeah.
Um, right. And so he sat there that whole time until 6, asking me all about this company. And he, I told him, James Wallace was a friend of mine out there in Tyler at the time. He had Wallace Business Systems. We had built a computer system for this company back when nobody really had computers and there certainly was no internet. And, we built an inventory system for all the parts and ticketing and all that kind of stuff, had old dot matrix printer. So he's asked me all about this system, and I'm telling him. And then, finally his wife comes. We shake hands, and they go on their way. Well, about a month or so later, I get a call from this guy, and he says, "Hey, Mr. Penny, do you remember me?" So and so. And I said, "Yeah, I remember you." He says, "Well, me and my business partners would like to buy your business." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, "Well, this is how I make my living. I'm not sure, if you could pay me enough to sell it." Of course, I'm thinking like, "Holy cow, somebody wants to buy it. Maybe I can go do something else." And so he asked me a number of questions. A few days later, calls me up and makes me an offer, and I told him, "No," I said, "Dude, I make more than that in 6 months." I said, I would have to figure out another way to feed my family if I sold a business for that." And he said, "Okay." He says, "Well, would you be willing to send me your financials?" Well, I had a bookkeeper because crunching numbers is not my favorite thing to do. So I had my bookkeeper package everything up and mail it to him, snail mail. A couple months later, he calls me up. He makes me a much, much larger offer for the business. And I thought, well, I told him, I said, "Well, you're moving the right direction." I said, "But still, at the time I'm going like, holy cow, I should take that." But I'm telling him, "You're moving the right direction, but still, I just don't see how that's going to carry me through to figure out what I'm going to do next in life." So third try, he offered me a stupid amount of money. I mean, at least I would have been stupid not to take it, right?
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, "All right, I'll sell it to you." And then he had me on a contract to stay there for a year because they flew people out for me to train on how to be a manager of the 3 auto doctors. And so I stayed on for the year, but I took some of that money, put myself through college because I was too poor to go to college, right?
Right.
So put myself through college on business management and computer information systems because I could see
Wow.
kind of the rise in the computer information systems, right? But what they did with the company is they changed the C in doctors to a K.
Yeah. Yeah.
They trademarked it and they turned it into a franchise. And I went, holy cow, I'm a dodo head. I sold my business one time. They're going to sell it over and over and over again. What did I do? Right. But as I'm going through college, I got so intrigued with this franchising idea. God putting me in the path of where I needed to go. I ordered every book on franchising you could order. I read everything I could read. And I started doing I would bid super cheap contracts for franchising companies to get on the inside and learn more. And I did some massive contracts, but eventually I got into the franchise building business and spent about 30 years building international franchise companies. And,
Wow.
as I mentioned, that love of creating opportunity for people all around the world was really my passion. And, yeah, I made a lot of money doing it, but to me, it was never really about the money so much as it was about the mission, but there was always this kind of black pit in my stomach because I couldn't help the people as much as I wanted to.
Have you ever heard of a franchise called Subway?
Yeah, absolutely.
That one's just nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, I
There's
love
no way.
I love Subway.
It's funny. I have to clean up that dodo remark you made because you weren't a dodo. You got paid stupid money to have your
Yeah.
eyes opened up as to what someone could do, and had you now
Yes.
you would have been a dodo if you took the first one.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
even the second one was a borderline, but the third one you did right. You did right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a blessing from God. That's
And
for
by the way,
sure.
if you had gone higher and not been a dodo, you wouldn't have ever heard
Hmm.
what they were going to do about
Right. Exactly.
it.
Yep. That's right. I would have never learned about franchising, and I would never put me in a position to where God's put me today.
So, what was your first franchise you did?
Yeah, the first franchise that I did was actually, I did a lot of contracts first, but the first one that I built was actually a travel company, and I built it alongside of an investment group. This one was called Buy Now. Okay, it was a travel company. It was in competition with Expedia.
Hmm.
And we built what was called a clicks to bricks concept. This was when there were still brick and mortar travel agencies around the world.
Right.
And so we built a system. In fact, we earned the Microsoft Comdex Award for this development. But we built a system that we had a local call center. This was out in Pompano Beach, Florida, where we built this one. So I was flying in and out of Florida, but in Pompano Beach, Florida, we built a call center there. So if somebody called in on the line, they could pick up the call, you know. But before that happened, we had the dial in on a toll free number. When the call came in, we put it in our server. We call it affectionately a PIFM, and I'll tell you what that means. But the toll free number came in, so we're paying for the toll call. The PIFM picked up that call, converted it into a internet call. This is when uh, you know internet telephony was just really barely working. But it took that caller ID stream, it looked into the CRM to see if that person had ever called before, and it looked to see if there was a franchise that would own that person based on their area code. If the franchise owned the person, we would pop the call open on their screen at that remote office, and it would have that person's name and their history. If it didn't have, they had no history, then it would create a new record with what they pulled off the caller ID stream. And that's why we called it a PIFM, which I didn't come up with the name, so forgive me. It's pure effing magic, is what the team affectionately named the server.
That it
But
gets you a little emotional, doesn't it? Just to hear that what it means gets you a little
yeah,
emotional.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so that was the first one that I helped build from scratch, that I had also had majority ownership in. And then I've built everything. I had a massive contract with Motel 6. You probably heard of a guy named Tom Bodett.
Hmm.
I actually have met Tom Bodett and seen him on stage, actually seen his face, which nobody in the real world gets to see his face. They keep that mystique because he was on the radio all the time. When he started doing commercials on TV, he would always have a guitar in front of his face, right?
Really?
So people never get to see his face. I'll keep the light on for you. That's his deal. But me and my team, we actually went in there. At the time, Motel 6 was purchased by a company called Accor, which is a very high-end franchise company. And Accor flew to the U.S. They took around and they toured them at all the brand new Motel 6s. They had 750 locations. Only 50 of them were franchised. So they just started in franchising. And I learned a lot about franchising working on that contract.
Hmm.
But Core had no idea that most of the other locations were kind of melting into the ground, right? But we went in there. They had, how many computers they had in their 750 locations? Goose egg, zero.
No kidding.
Zero. They had these pedestals that you spun around, you slide cards in that they
Really?
would check people in with, and they wrote it on. And then they had a keyboard on the back where they hung the keys, no electronic keys back then. And they did their nightly audit on this big fold out ledger by hand. And then they faxed it in. And then the ladies at the corporate office in Addison, Texas would type it into the Wayne mainframe. That's how they were running their businesses. We went in there, we put in 750 local area networks. And then later we put modems in all of them. We wrote a program called SC Packet, which is Sales and Cash Packet.
Wow.
That actually, when they did their nightly audit on the computer, it would put all the information in the Sales and Cash Packet. They would literally do dial-up modem to the corporate, FTP it onto a Unix server, then that would push it onto the mainframe and go from there. And then later, we put in fractional T1s, and now it's all fiber, But yeah, that's the history of
those poor gerbils trying to.
those poor gerbils, man. Yeah, it was something else, But so done a lot of travel things. I've created. The last franchise I built was actually I sold, and so I can't give you a ton of and I have non-disclosures. I can't give you a ton of information on it, but basically what that one did was it was a business funding and consulting company. And so basically what we did is I built that one to let's see, I think it was about 2,000 locations once I sold it. But what we did is we would get companies approved for financing or funding through a angel or VC. And then they always had stipulations like, yes, we'll fund you, but we need your business plan, we need your marketing plan, we need all these kind of things. None of them ever had. So we made points, of course, on funding them. And then my local franchise owners made money off of creating their marketing plans, their business growth plans, and all that, because the funders want to know, how are you going to grow this thing, right? And I actually sold my last franchise company. Really, again, it's God puts you in the path of where you want to be or where he wants you to be, right? So my wife became pregnant with my daughter, who's now 15 years old. I was traveling 90% of the time. I didn't want to be an absentee father. So I told my wife, I said, you know what? It's time for my exit strategy. And her jaw literally dislocated and dropped to the floor because she thought I would die an old man still building franchises, you know.
Gosh, James, the medical bills for the readjustment and
it was tough. Yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough. It was really tough. Yeah. So yeah, she was shocked. I mean, shocked. And so it took me a little while to sell it. So my daughter was about 3 years old once I finally sold that organization. And I took a little time off, just spend with family, put money away. And then, you know, just by accident or God, I ended up accidentally bumping into this affiliate company. And that's when I learned that there's a franchise-like opportunity that you can truly help anybody pull themselves out of poverty and elevate their wealth without them having to have millions of dollars or $250,000.
Right.
And that's really what has led me into what I'm doing today is getting into and building massive scale affiliate type companies and empowering people to make money.
Well, we're gonna go there in a second. I've been holding this in for a while. For an ADHD person, I mean, this is like my breath is like your wife's jaw. Did it start working after 3 years? I mean, like this is a long time. But do you remember the movie Billy Madison?
Oh, yeah, vaguely, yes.
Well, the part is that he calls that guy he bullied. And he says, "Hey, I just want to call you and tell you I'm sorry," and all this stuff. And the guy had a list of all the people he was going to kill. And so after he hung up with Billy, he says, "Okay, I'm not going to kill this guy."
Scratched it off. Oh, nice.
Do you remember that?
Nice.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah.
Well,
it's been a long time.
When you talked about the bully turning white and everything, I mean, that is the beauty of it, is that there's so many rewards to reflection of, are you being a good Christian? Are you being a good person? Are you doing the best for others? And I just think that's a beautiful piece of this show. I wanted to ask you about franchises. What do you think? And this can be in the past too, but what franchises, if you had the money, were like a no-brainer? You just rock it in. Which ones do you?
Well, some of them, some of them shocked me, right? That I thought would really not be a valid franchise. And without naming names, there's a lot of these frozen ice franchises, right?
Yeah.
And
well, actually, technically, if you're going to make a compliment, you're saying how good they did. It's not a big deal if you do say their name.
Yeah. So one that comes to mind is Hawaiian ice. You know,
yes,
they're not that expensive, and the cost of the product is low. The retail price of it's high. It cost them a nickel or to a dime, to deliver a $5.
That's like a 2-figure franchise, isn't it?
Yeah. They can make some serious money with those, and some of them, even have the portable units where you can get them. You get set up for $35,000-$40,000 and go to trade shows And some of my friends who have done those, they've made some bank,
I bet.
no real skill set needed. You just can scoop some ice in and put some sauce on top of it. You're good to go.
Yeah, and I mean they have the best slogan of all right now in the United States of
Hmm.
America. We're the good ice.
Yeah, there you go. Really good eyes.
I had to go there. Come on now.
Yep, yep, yep.
So,
Yeah.
how about the story of Blockbuster? I mean, we don't need to go deeper in this, but just like
Hmm.
1 minute, isn't it crazy how that was the flourishing, that was the one to bet on? I don't know how
Hmm.
well they did as a franchise, but they certainly had a demise
Hmm.
because of Netflix. What do you want to share
Right.
about that?
Yeah, no, that's just, that has to do with timing, right? Everything has its time. A good friend of mine always says there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything.
Right.
Now, there are some things that will never end; they're just going to keep growing. But it's just it's what technology does, right? We get better and better technology, and it will replace some of those things. It didn't eliminate the opportunity with selling, videos. It just replaced it with streaming
Well,
type
anyone that bought a
videos.
franchise in the beginning, they made their money many times over,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and the people in the middle kind of they did okay, but the people in the end, I guess, man, that must have hurt.
Yeah, it definitely hurt. We had a big Blockbuster headquarters out in McKinney, Texas, out here not too far. I live in Anna, just outside of McKinney, but and that during that time frame, man, you just see less and less trucks rolling out the gate.
I think one of the most brilliant movies really ever made is Founders. I just think it's
Hmm.
such a well done story, and I think it really
Yeah,
depicts how it looked and how it felt.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is
You know,
McDonald's is still a smart bet or not?
yeah, McDonald's is definitely a smart bet. It's one of the most successful franchises on the planet.
Can I throw
You
two
know,
more at you?
sure.
Chick-fil-A and Canes.
Oh my goodness. Yes, Chick-fil-A, and it doesn't cost that much to get into a Chick-fil-A either. If somebody could start out there working as an employee and
Yeah,
eventually be able to
manager.
transition, yeah, and Canes. And I'll tell you, with Chick-fil-A and Canes, in McKinney on the corner of 380 and 75 sat Chick-fil-A. Well, Canes came in. We didn't have Canes in this area at the time.
Okay.
Canes came in. They came across 75
Right.
on the other corner. And when they came in, Ken, I predicted they are not going to survive. I
And
said
they
there's no way, because we got Chick-fil-A, we got Canes, and then right down the road we got Popeyes, and right next to that we got KFC. I said there's too many chicken places, and who's going to go in and buy just chicken fingers all the time? Boy, was I dead wrong. That did, and it didn't slow down the Chick-fil-A. The
No,
Canes,
Popeyes has a bear. Nobody's in the parking lot, and what was the other one
yes,
you said?
KFC,
Yeah,
yeah,
KFC's
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
they started going out of business. I mean, in our
Hmm.
area, you can't. In our area of Columbia, Maryland, I got to tell you, 8,000
Hmm.
restaurants, you can't go out of business. KFC goes out of business in this area.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It
Yeah,
is crazy.
but not Chick-fil-A or
Well,
Canes.
Canes did what Burger King did. Burger King says, "Well, if there's going to be burger sales next to McDonald's, let's go ahead and be next door to them." And for a while it worked, but you can't
Hmm.
compete with the big. But with Canes, it's a different story. They had
Yeah,
they had three USPs. One is that they had Post Malone. I
right, right.
mean, the coolest musician of all time. I mean, now, I mean,
Yes,
and he's
yeah,
like, I can't live without my Canes. I mean, that is a huge statement to say, right?
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, and the funny thing is and I don't know the whole story in detail. My daughter was actually telling me this, right? Because she's started studying franchising too. But she was telling me the story about with Canes is he presented this as part of one of his college thesis or something like
Mhm.
that to his professor, and got a failing grade saying that idea would never work. And so, as a result, one of the first Canes that he set up across from that college.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the number is, but it's some astronomical number, like 1,000. 1,000 ideas are thrown at Canes a week or a month of things they should add to their menu. They're like, nope, No,
Yep. Keep it simple.
keep it simple.
Keep it sweet and simple.
I mean, that ketchup thing that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a treat.
Yeah.
It is a treat. So let's talk about your franchise. Well, you got this new company that has
Mhm.
all this. It's a Swiss Army knife of AI. It's got 25, 50 different applications, AI applications.
Yeah. So, one of the things with AI is a lot of people now, because it's growing so quickly and it's in such demand, a lot of people are going to these conventions, these conferences. And at those conventions and conferences, they're being sold subscriptions to 10, 15, 20 different things. They're walking out of there paying $500 to $1,000 a month on subscriptions.
Right.
And so my business partner, Ed, and I, we decided to do something about that. We wanted people to have all of those things and all those capabilities without paying all of that money. And so what we've created is an AI toolbox. It's part of our company, which is Momentum Tech Corporation. And we have
That's very
literally,
momentous of you.
thank you, yeah, and it's catching on. It's gaining momentum. We literally have over 50 AI apps in it. We and marketing it, we say 40 because we don't want to sound too overwhelming. But we literally have over 50 AI apps in it. And not only does it have all these video creation apps, and it's got content creation for social media, and it's got image creation for any kind of image. It's got a book authoring tool in there. We have people who are been wanting to write a book for 20 years, but they just know how to get started. Now they can draft their book out in an hour and in less than 30 days have it published, right?
Right.
We have a CRM system in there. We've got a free website builder, and we host websites in there free of charge, unlimited websites. I mean, there's so many different things. About any subscription a company needs is in there, and it's only $39 a month instead of
Yeah, but how are people going to afford it?
thousands a month. Yeah, that's pretty tough. Yeah, yeah, they'll have to
So
cancel
you,
that other 1,000 a month that they're
yeah,
paying.
but if you cancel, hypothetically, you canceled $1,000 a month of
Mhm.
subscriptions, you could get about like 30 of these.
Sure, yeah, if you want one for every day of the month, if you want, I mean, you don't want to get bored and just have one account. Let's just
So
you
I have a
already
marketing idea for you. I have a marketing.
okay,
Let me do it in order. I have an education marketing idea hook for you.
okay,
How about that? All right.
I love it.
And I'm even going to tell you what it is. So here we
Oh, that's even better,
go. So education. I'm an educator. You're an educator.
right? Hmm.
You said we have about 50 over 50, but we say 40 just to be
Hmm.
safe. All right.
Yeah.
So I would like you to consider micro learning, which I know you value already, micro
Hmm.
learning 52 and make it a digital deck of cards. And you'll
Oh,
basically play your hand that's going to give you the best results on your business. Boom.
ooh, I like that. Ooh. Yes,
That's because I'm your
consider it
friend.
done.
That's because
I
I'm your friend.
appreciate that, Ken. That is worth, man, gosh, I'm going to have to send you a check.
Well, I'll tell
That's
you,
awesome.
I want the Smile Channel to thrive. I want my son to go to college, and that is not on your back. What I'm saying is, I want to help you because you're helping so many people, and I know it comes back. So I love this idea of having you on the show. I love your heart. I mean, what beautiful sentiments and what vulnerability. And I just want to thank you for that. Let's go. I know you gave me some examples of the 52. If people go to this site, it's
Mhm.
momentous site, is that correct?
MomentumTech.ai.
Okay, so we can put a link in it when we air the show, which will be in a couple days. And
Mhm.
you have an offer for $39.95. Is that correct?
It's just 39, flat
39.
39.
Okay. And what do you do? Do you say where you heard about the offer? Or is there any type of thing like that?
Yeah, yeah. So there's, our main corporate site, because we have consultants that sell this for us. That's how we sell it. We don't actually offer to sell it on our site. It says get back with the person that invited you, but I'll give
Yep.
you a link that they can go ahead and take advantage of the offer
Great.
that you can put in the system. But that's exactly right. If they go to our corporate site and say get back to the person that invited you, but on that site they'll that I'll give you that you can put on here, they'll be able to go ahead and take advantage of it.
So I have a cumbersome CRM. I mean that we're kind of still figuring out,
Hmm.
fixing it. Your site helps with that.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the CRM that's built in our system, here's the neat thing. You can build your website for free. So if you're paying 30, 40, $50 a month to host your website,
Yep.
put it on us, on our site. It's hosted for free. And if you put a form on that website, it's automatically tied into the CRM. So somebody fills
Really?
in that form, it goes straight in there. And I do want to back up and chat a little bit about. You said your son's getting ready to go to college.
No, he's 12, but he's gifted and talented. I'll just say he
Hmm.
could go to college early. He's written
Okay,
14 books. He's a pretty smart kid. But
that's great.
we cannot save enough money for that college. So I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. So let me speak to that for a minute. The
Yeah.
money to go to college, right? So my daughter's actually simultaneously going through college and and high school. She's in
Right.
fact she's in France for the year
Oh, that's amazing.
as an exchange student. Yeah, she
What
is
what part
very
of France?
motivated. She's in southwest part of France, and we're not
Okay.
supposed to say the town. Exchange
Okay.
student doesn't want to say the town, but it's southwest.
I'll just ask this. Can I say what letter it starts with? Can I say that? No,
Sure.
I'm gonna say the letter.
Okay.
Does it start with C?
Yes.
Okay. I went there for my foreign exchange experience.
Oh, cool. Oh, nice. I love that. Well, so here's the thing with children going to college. What I tell some of my people who like to give back is get uh, sponsor as college student or even a high school student, right? Give them access to this AI platform
Right.
because when they have access to this AI platform, they get a link where they can refer and share it to their friends, right?
Got
Or
it.
anybody else.
Yeah.
Their friends sign up with their link, they get a commission. Now imagine somebody at a college who shares it with all the other college kids because
Of
when they
course.
see these tools, they want them. My mission, my vision, my goal is that that college student goes through college, comes out the other end with zero college debt because of the commissions they've earned on other people using the AI platform and money to either purchase or pay for at least a down payment on a new home and a car.
Right.
I mean, imagine if we could do that for people. We just sponsor a couple kids in each college and bless them with a debt-free education,
Yeah.
right?
It's very
I mean,
realistic. I see it.
yeah, yeah. That's
Well,
you know,
and passive income with value is
mhm,
security.
absolutely, yeah. And it is, and it's residual because every month when they pay their subscription, that
Yeah.
whoever introduced them gets another paycheck.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, James, I am so happy that you are on the show. I don't want to say the show's complete right now, but as far as I'm concerned, we did a great show. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that would be important to add to the show?
Well, our mission is to provide hope, opportunity, and tools for success for real people. And we do that every single day. We have what we call an AI breakfast lab. And in fact, you don't even have to have the link. Just Google AI breakfast lab. You will find us 10 a.m. Central Time every morning, Monday through Friday. We do a full hour of free AI training.
Hmm.
Why? Because 90% of all jobs out there now are calling for AI experience and AI certification. We have a black belt certification if somebody really wants to be a consultant in AI. And here's what you got to think about. Now's the time to learn this. You got to learn AI. You got to get AI ready. If you don't, you're going to pay the people who did. But think about this for a minute. Stuart Russell is the professor of machine learning. He's been so involved in all that's going on with AI that the United States Senate invited him out to speak.
Hmm.
Well, he testified that with his most conservative estimates, that this is going to be a quadrillion, $14 quadrillion cash value business. You know, building international franchises for 30 years, I've seen some big money. God's blessed me to earn some really amazing wealth in my life, but I had no idea what that number meant, Ken. I tell you, I promise
But
you. I had to go look it up. That's 14,000 trillion dollars, and we're right here at the very beginning of that. I mean, it's not even like a trickle out of our drain pipe on our house compared to the tsunami of opportunity that is on the way. So now's the time to get involved with AI. This truly is an opportunity God has given me to empower people to create generational wealth for their family. So come and join us on our AI Breakfast Labs, absolutely free. We'd love to pour blessings into your life and help you get even just a little bit of the taxes that's going to be paid on that could create generational wealth for your family. Believe me, I know.
I love it. I love it. And you've traveled the world as a result of you said you were on the road a lot. Were you mainly US or
Yes.
did you also get outside the US?
Yeah, mostly US because I've been a single dad for most of my life. Typically, I would send my employees abroad, but I have been, to Europe and some other places over the years as well.
Well, I've been to 104 countries, and I know that you need me to go to India to see the Taj Mahal, and I know you need me to go to Antarctica for you.
Yes,
Those are the two places I
yeah,
have to go for you.
we'll put those on the calendar, my friend.
All right, so we have rapid fire at the conclusion of every show. It's a chance for people to be a little more like James Moneypenny. So what you're saying is the most important thing in your life. Someone can say, "Oh, if that worked for him, I want to infuse it into my programming and become more successful and be a little more like James Moneypenny." So
Mm-hmm.
here we go. You ready, sir?
Yep, let's go.
What book changed your life?
Bible.
And I'm guessing because you've also read a lot of other books, you went back to college. What business
Mm-hmm.
book? What business book do you give to people?
Blue Ocean Strategies.
Isn't that great?
Blue Ocean Strategy. It's great. Yes.
That was an
Yeah.
eye opener. Certainly an eye opener. All right. What movie gets you? What movie do you watch to be inspired?
Rocky.
I don't usually take a pause, but since you've been so giving in this show, I'd like to give you something back.
Okay.
The number one movie of all time, inspirationally, is Rocky. The
Is it?
1979 Rocky one. Do you know
Yeah.
number two is Rudy,
I didn't know that. I'll be
and
darned.
number three is Hoosiers. And
Huh.
now we're talking about the most inspirational sports movies, okay?
Yeah.
And Rudy, the original Rudy, I've had lunch with twice. He told me the reason Rocky was number one and the reason you said number one, and that is that Rudy is number two because it has the second most amount of struggle per minute in a movie than Rocky. Rocky had the most struggle per minute. And someone that's
Yeah.
been bullied
Hmm.
edifies and identifies at the highest level what it is to win after all that struggle. And that,
Yes.
how
Yeah.
do you like that for an explanation?
Yeah. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that with me. Now I have some new insights.
Well, the thing that's most interesting about it is that Hoosiers was number two, and they were the screenwriter that were hired to write Rudy.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that cool?
Cool.
All right.
That
So
is cool.
number three, what song gets you going?
Eye of the Tiger.
Now that's the
Yeah.
second. That's the second Rocky, though, isn't it?
Yeah. 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 That's the
And
second one.
that put Survivor on the map, big time.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Number four, who's your hero?
I'd say besides God, Leon Gibson.
Leon Gibson. And
Yeah.
is there someone you'd like to meet that you've never met?
Um, mm, yeah, I'd like to meet Ken Rochon, actually.
Well, I'd like to meet you. So I guess that's in order for this. I'm going to put this as a high docket for March or April. How about that?
That'll work. I would like to meet Zig Ziglar, but I'm gonna have to wait a while for that one. I'm not ready
Gosh,
for God to call me home.
yeah, he was the ultimate Gandhi blessing to sales, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
he just practiced the principles that Jesus taught,
I
right?
know he did. I know he
Yeah.
did. But I mean, his Gandhi presence, though, he was at peace.
Yes.
He was at
Yes.
peace at
Oh,
all times.
yes. Yes. Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
What's a quote you live by, James?
Um. Um. Really. Well, not one's coming to mind right now.
Well, while you're thinking of that, have you written a book?
Okay. I have. I've not published it, but Ed and I wrote about 100 books last year.
Well, we're just a little publishing company called Perfect Publishing. We've only done 700 books, but I would like to be your friend and tell you I believe
Hmm.
in you so much. It would be an honor to publish them as a friend,
Oh,
to you.
wow.
Yeah,
I thank you. I will take you up on that.
yeah, because
Yes.
I travel the United States, 50 cities typically a year, and giving books to people that need to know how to live a more abundant life after hearing your mission, this would be right aligned with what Perfect Publishing is about, which is giving people that chance they need.
Yeah, the quote that I really live by is just my heart doing to others as you'd have others do unto you, right?
Yeah.
And that's I've never really thought of it as the quote that I live by, but it's the principle I think that I live by.
So I'm going to work on a couple things with you, but I think you gave me a kind of another acronym for AI.
Okay.
All in.
All in. Yes, all in. Yes. And by the way, we have a phrase with Momentum Take called AI squared,
Yes.
right? Artificial intelligence multiplied by your anointed intelligence creates amazing improvements.
And
Because
I
you always
remember,
want to include your anointed intelligence with artificial intelligence. You want AI to just do it.
right. Yeah, you got to keep the spirit.
Yes.
And I remember when we were on the call maybe 2 months ago with I was in Stan's car, Dr. Breakthrough's car, and we were talking about AI to the AI level.
Right.
Remember?
Right. Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, so we all have that book to write too. So
Yes, we
I
do.
honest I hope you hear in my heart that I'd like to not only do the publishing and the marketing, but I'd like to wake the world up with you.
Okay.
I'm
I'll
all
take
in.
you up on it, my friend. Let's do
I'm
it.
all in, James. All right.
All
Well, this
right.
is James Moneypenny. How do people connect with you, celebrate you, support you?
Well, join us on the AI Breakfast Lab if you
Mm-hmm.
want to connect with me directly while you're on the AI Breakfast Lab, because I'm usually there to help support my business partner, who is the mad scientist, the AI mad scientist, Ed Garza, and CTO, co-founder of our company. I'm usually there helping to support him. So you can just put a note to me in the chat box that you'd like to connect with me directly, and I'll connect with you.
I'm going to become your new CSO after we meet in March. You know what a CSO is?
Okay.
A chief
I
smile
don't.
officer. The chief smile
Oh,
officer.
I like that. I like that. We have Dr. Breakthrough's our chief breakthrough officer
Right, right.
in the company, and we would love to have a chief smile officer. I tell you, smiles take you a long way.
Yeah, they do. Well, James, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm more than blessed and grateful for the time you spent with us.
Thank you, Dr. Smiley. I'm honored to be here. You have a blessed day.
Thank you.